to give our report.
Billy, are you and Amy ready to give your report?
Sure, Mrs. Anderson. We're ready.
Well, the floor is all yours.
Give us the assignment. Well, we weren't sure where to begin.
So we found out we had to work together. Well, we thought it might be best to get started right away.
So, we asked Mom to take us to Wendy's.
On the way to eat, we couldn't come up with anything. And we're already getting a little, tense.
But when we went to pick up our food, an interesting thing happened. We explained our assignment to her. She told us she had an idea.
Good to report for school.
About what?
Something that we use every day. After we finished eating, she came out and told us some interesting stuff.
She told us that Wendy's had just recently switched over to frying its French fries in corn oil. And she showed us that Wendy's also used corn products in other things.
Yeah, like taco shells, salad dressing, ketchup, and there's even corn syrup and Frosty mix.
You know, there is somebody here who could probably tell you a little bit more about corn if you're interested.
Sure.
Okay, come on, I'll introduce you. Dave, how you doing today?
Oh, pretty good, Teresa.
This is Billy and Amy, and they're doing a school project on corn. I thought maybe you could help them out a little bit.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Maybe there's something you can show us.
Well, if you would like, why don't you come out to the farm tomorrow?
Okay.
Sounds like a good idea.
We checked with Mom. She said okay. So we went to Mr. Miller's farm the next morning.
Glad you guys stopped by this morning. Let's go out here in the barn and see what we got. We got a lot of equipment.
It was really neat.
He showed us all around his farm.
First he showed us the combine, which is what they use to harvest the corn. He explained how it separates the ears of corn from the stalk.
Then it removes the kernels from the ear of corn and then drops it into a big storage bin.
He told us he can harvest over 5,000 bushels of corn every day.
Where after it's full, you end up dumping it into the truck and hauling feed it to market.
Then he showed us the silos, where they store the corn. They hold up to 30,000 bushels of corn each.
1 bushel of corn is 56 pounds of shelled corn.
And finally, he explained that they feed the corn to the livestock because it's high in protein and helps keep the animals healthy.
How much does your truck hold?
Well, that truck there will hold around 1,000 bushels, and we'll fill it full of corn that falls out of them overhead bins. And if you're really interested in seeing what we do with the corn, you ought to go over to Cargill Dayton and see what they do with it.
Well, Mom said okay again. So off we went to the Cargill milling plant in Dayton, Ohio.
Mr. Miller had called ahead, so Mr. Thayer was waiting for us.
He invited us on a tour of the plant.
This plant is where the farmers take their corn and sell it. All day long, trucks pull in full of corn.
They pull up onto a special lid that lifts up the whole truck and dumps the corn out.
It's really neat to watch. They get up almost 300 trucks a day.
From here, Mr. Thayer explained that the corn goes to large storage bins until they need it.
When it's needed, they start it through the mill.
First, he showed us how the corn is cleaned and then soaked in water.
Then, they separate the corn from the soak water.
Once the corn is separated from the soak water, they start it through the milling process, where they grind and separate the corn into 4 main products: protein, fiber, oil, and starch. These 4 products are then processed for businesses to use.
For an example, he shows the fructose syrup that will be used to make our favorite soft drinks.
The syrup is what makes the pop taste so sweet.
They also make candy suckers from the fructose syrup.
And ketchup, which is 40% corn syrup.
At the end of the tour, he told us that this plant grinds more than 55 million bushels of corn every year.
That's 500,000 acres of corn.
And in one day, they burn over 400 tons of coal and use 3 million gallons of water.
We also learned that 1 truck of farm corn will make 1.3 million bottles of pop or 1.1 million loaves of bread, or 115,000 jars of grape jelly.
Well, Amy and Billy, this is the final stop on our tour. This is where the corn syrup actually loads into the truck. This truck will haul about 4,000 gallons of corn syrup, and in fact, it's on its way to Wyandotte Popcorn. If you like, you can follow this truck and see how it eventually ends up on the grocery store shelf.
Sure. John, you think we better check with Mom first?
We checked with Mom. She said okay. So, the next morning we drove to Marion to visit the Wyandotte Popcorn Factory, where Mr. Ted Walters was waiting for us.
He said that at the factory, they make products that go to the store shelves where we can buy them. Things like cheese corn, caramel corn, cheese puffs, corn chips, and tortilla chips.
It smelled great, so I asked him what it was. He said, well, let's have a look.
First, he showed us where they take the cornmeal and make cheese puffs.
Then he showed us how they use the ground corn to make nachos. First, they take the cornmeal and press it, and then cut it into shapes.
Then they drop in oil to cook it.
After that, he took us into the room where the popcorn is made.
It was great.
First, he showed us a huge popcorn popper.
It could pop nearly 2,000 pounds of popcorn per hour.
From the popper, the corn is dropped down into a storage bin, where they can use it to make either cheese, caramel, or salted corn.
That day they were making cheese corn, and it smelled incredible.
We got to watch the machine add the cheese flavoring, and even got to taste some as it came out of the tumbler. Then we walked over to the storage warehouse, which holds more than 100,000 square feet of their products. He explained that all that we saw there would be in the markets in a couple of days, so that it was fresh by the time Mom bought it.
Well, it was sure nice having you with us today. I really hope you enjoyed your visit as much as we enjoyed having you. I do have some samples for you to take back to share with your classmates.
Thank you.
By the way, Marion is also the home of the Ohio Corn Marketing Association, and if you'd like to learn some more about corn, I'd be glad to make a phone call and make arrangements for you to visit with them.
Sure.
You all better get an A.
So, on the way home, we stopped by the Ohio Corn Marketing Office.
Mike Wagner explained what they do
He told us that their job is to teach the public how important farming is.
and conduct research on new uses for farm products.
This helps increase the demand for all farm products.
Then he told us some interesting facts,
Yeah, like agriculture is Ohio's largest business.
employing over 773,000 Ohioans.
He also told us that they're sponsoring research in biodegradable packaging using corn products.
This will help the environment and the farmer.
They're also promoting the use of ethanol.
Ethanol is made from corn.
And when you mix it with gas, it reduces the amount of air pollution made by cars.
Only 1 bushel of corn produces 2 1/2 gallons of ethanol.
And 1 acre of corn can produce enough ethanol to displace 400 gallons of imported oil.
We also found out some more things at the library.
Over the past 4 years, ethanol use in Ohio has increased by more than 50%.
And Ohio farmers produced over $4.2 million worth of products that went into the Ohio economy.
And over 22 million Americans work in some phase of agriculture.
But only 2 million of them live on farms.
And one of the most impressive things that we've learned is that 1 American farmer produces enough food to feed 128 people.
That's 94 in the U.S. and 34 in other countries.
So, after learning all of this,
We feel that corn is the most important thing that we use every day.
Well, Billy, Amy, I'm impressed. But aren't you forgetting your special guest?
Oops.
yes, Billy forgot about the special guest we brought.
Come here, Kalua. Come here. Come on, Kalua. Come on. Come on. Yeah, good.
And Billy, are you going to tell the class why you invited Kalua today?
Oh, yeah, even dog food has corn in it.